Hello everyone. So if you've subscribed to my channel, and thank you by the way, appreciate it. You know that I really do focus in on some really core issues. One, obviously enjoy, looking at the satellite data, interpreting what the photos are showing, and understanding that our solar system is in a quadrant of the Milky Way, and the Milky Way is one of billions of galaxies. So I found this one very interesting because it actually kind of backs up a comment that I made yesterday. I wasn't even aware of this article coming out, and I'll leave you the link here as well, is that I said that the background of when you look at the stereo pictures, Secchi, there is, to me, and I've gone back 10 years in looking. In fact, I'm doing a program right now on Secchi that, what a project, but when I get it done, I think it's going to be very interesting. But back to the point that it looked like the background star field, just to me, it looks denser. So this article, which was on foxnews.com, is that the fact that now astronomers are now believing or suggesting, let me just put it this way, that the theory of multiverses, right? And whether you're into string theory, the problem I think a lot with the standard model is, well, it doesn't support a lot of things, particularly this. So they think that maybe our universe actually bumped into a neighboring parallel one. Now, isn't this interesting? So they have found a region of space that they call the cold area of space. And it's been observed for some time, and explaining has been proven to be rather difficult because, again, we're in an age, folks, of where I saw this great video. You know who you are. Just phenomenal. That we're in an age of where knowledge is coming at us from everywhere. It's completely dispelling core beliefs of which many of us that have gone through the process are aware of now. And it's been bombarding because what we're now finding out is the beliefs that we have held true are now being blown away. And this is just but one of them. And you can see that what they're thinking is that the fact that when they looked at this, what they're seeing by the evidence can't explain by the math is basically what it is. It says that this cold area that was observed, that now the study suggests it was merely an area of the universe in which the number of galaxies is dramatically lower than the rest. Unfortunately, the subsequent investigations couldn't support that finding, and a new study by Durham University suggests the slim possibility that its actual evidence of a parallel universes is still on the table. I believe, let me just continue, we'll wrap this up. The multiverse theory hinges on the idea that all possible outcomes of any given scenario are all playing out at the same time in a layered reality of which we are only experiencing one layer. It's a wild idea that has a foundation in quantum mechanics, but it's also entirely unproven. Listen, the atom was entirely unproven. Gravity was entirely unproven. And as our knowledge expands, as our machines become smarter and reveal more to us, this becomes a real reality. So I'm going to leave this link. Got a couple of more stories that go right in with the Bloodline Invader series. Now, I've been telling you, and you can go back and look at the Bloodline Invader series, that We are being assimilated, and that's a good term. In fact, I always think as Star Trek: The Next Generation, the Borg, resistance is futile, right? And technically it is. But dig this, folks. So JetBlue and Delta are testing a biometric scanning to replace boarding passes. Now, this is also being done through the Justice Department on new protocols that will be coming out here in the next couple of months that will now begin to require this, folks. Get this. Require you as an individual, a sovereign individual, to start giving up a lot of your bio identification. We're going to a point, folks, trust me, I've been in payment for a lot of years, and I'm developing one that there will be the day coming very shortly where cash will become non-existent, and you won't be carrying your purse or your wallet, won't need to. It's going to be in a biometric form that is going to be beyond just what we have today. So anyway, heads up on this one, folks, because this is coming to an airport and public event. Mark my words on this. Because of the event that happened in London last week on the Memorial Day concert, the time is here where you're going to start seeing TSA showing up, and it won't be that long, and we're going to have a national, if not an international standards on biometric identifiers. I think it's already in the works. I know the little bit that I have seen on the payment side that, folks, in 5 years, this is where it's going to be heading. All right, we got another story behind this one. Now, I told you in one of the videos that I've done that particularly those under the age of 30, and I can actually define this a little bit more for you, those that were born after 1990, and more impacting those that were born after 2010, that the brain patterns are different. And I've covered stories as well where I showed you that we use this as an alter. And I know I misspelled that word, did it purposely. It's the point is that if you actually caught that, that told me you were really paying attention and giving it thought. So look at this, folks. So this is right here from the medicalexpress.com. Internet withdrawal increases heart rate and blood pressure. Now, that to me is all indications that you have this transhumanism effect taking place when the body begins to respond negatively, by the way, when you start pulling something from the mental part of this. There is a theory out there that, we are tri-union beings. If you believe in the Trinity, each part of the Trinity can self-express itself, right? Well, there's no difference for us here. So if there's an addiction factor, is it mental or is it physical? It would now appear, according to this article, and I'll just scan down for you, look at the age, 18 to 33, right in the time frame I was telling you. Having their heart rate and blood pressures measured before and after a brief internet session. Now, get this. Their anxiety and self-reported internet addiction were also assessed. The results showed increased in psychological arousal on terminating the internet session for those with problematic high internet usage. This increases in heart rate and blood pressure were mirrored by the increased feelings of anxiety. However, there was no such change for participants who reported no internet usage problems. In China, they now have camps that basically detox digitally their same age group. And we see it here all the time. We see more and more stories, particularly those under the age of 12, that when their devices are taken away from them, they become very violent and have killed. So Anyway, this is all part of the transhumanism effect. It's just not a theory. It's actually becoming very, what we would say, not practical. I'm missing the word right now. But it's integrated into our society, and it's becoming a part of who we are. 25 years from now, boy, could you imagine what it's going to be like? I don't know if that's good or bad. All right, got one more story behind this one. Now, again, this one falls right into the Bloodline Invader series. Folks, it's no longer just a fanciful idea. When you begin to have a theory that begins to take on substance, and the foundation of how substance that I define this is that you have multiple paths that didn't start out in the same path, but they end up at the same destination. And if you look at this, this is what's happening to us right now. A lot of people have a problem believing in evolution. It happens. And I think so often what happens is that they become to the point where they get their religious beliefs mixed up with what the physical evidence shows. But evolution's taking place. We are in a technical evolution. A child today that I have shown that's being hooked up to the internet before they're even coming out of the womb is not the same person that was born, let's say, in 1920. It's the evolution of our species. And Homo Deus, look at this. Evolution is a slow affair taking some 5 million years to turn chimpanzee-like creatures into us. Now, I know that this is controversial. Do I think that we came from chimps? No, I take a different approach. It's not saying that there was not the same DNA, because you can't argue the fact of the Rh factor. How did the rhesus hemoglobin get into our DNA? No one can explain that. But at the same time, I also subscribe to the theory, I think that there was someone a lot smarter than us, an executive chef, shall we say, that has been in the kitchen and screwing with the recipe. It's just my thought. But look at this. As you go on with this theory is now taking on that the book here is the Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow. Kind of the sequel to his book of Sapiens. By the way, I just got the Sapiens book. Wow. You know, I get a lot of ridicule because I keep referring to us as a species. We are a species, folks. And the day humanity gets it that we are a species made up of many races, and if we could ever unite on that, holy cow. But here's the point. There's a counter evolution taking place. And that is, folks, is that we are becoming integrated to our machines. And man has always built machines. The first wheel was a machine. You know, the first axe, arrow, those were all machines, because it was not our ability within the bioforms that we have to do that physically ourselves. And so anytime that our species makes a wheel, an arrow out of flint rock, a bow and arrow, the printing press, whatever, that is what we call transhumanism. And it's happening. And it's been a slow grind for the longest period of time. But, you know, I just did in the previous story, as you remember, when you start taking the machines away, you begin to see how we as a species are very vulnerable. And it then puts us on the same level as in the animal kingdom. And I was given this thought the other day. You know, the plant kingdom does a pretty good job of whooping our butts too. I don't know about you. Have you ever been around poison sumac, poison ivy, poison oak? You know. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to leave the link on this one. Listen, when you understand what the singularity is, you will understand why the elite are spending vast fortunes for the transference. There's a good program on National Geographic Thursday nights called Year 1 Million. If you have National Geographic, check it out. You really should check that out, because it talks about the fact that it's not the year 2017. We've got to understand that is not the year. The Earth has an actual calendar date. But the year 1 million is a metaphor for where we're heading. What is the next evolution of our species? And we are evolving, folks. Listen, when you looked at, Back to the Future 2, when Marty was on the hoverboard, well, that technology is now here. So I really like this whole concept of Mind 2.0. I'll leave this article. Check it out. And if you like this, let me know. I find these stories only interesting because of the fact that they directly relate to the programs that I have produced previously. And it's kind of almost like a validation that, folks, I wasn't just simply pulling this out of the air and throwing it up there. There is actually strong foundation to all of this. So thank you, NBCnews.com. And folks, we will continue on.